Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope it's getting to be a little warmer in your part of the world, wherever you are. And today we're going to be talking about the Gate 37, which is called community. Okay, so the Sun and Gate 37 started early on Sunday, February 25th. It goes until March 1st, and the Earth is in Gate 40, which is called aloneness, and 37 is called community. And I love the energy this week because basically what we have is the will center defined, and we have the solar plexus defined, but it is a full channel. The only transits that create a channel in the way this does. So the 37 is here off the solar plexus, and the 40 is coming off the will center. And so together they form the channel of community, or some people call it the channel of contracts and agreements, because it's really about this energy of the will center, right? Coming together with the emotional solar plexus and creating contracts and agreements for the community, for your people, for your tribe, for your, whatever you want to call it. So all week we have this energy of both the will center and the emotional solar plexus, and they come together to create the channel of community. And so all week we're going to have the will center defined and the emotional solar plexus defined, but it's a relatively mild emotional wave if you feel anything. If you happen not to have either of these, I don't have either of these, so I love having this kind of energy around because it means I will probably get a lot done, and then I'll be tired. So, and it might be a little emotional along the way. So that's the kind of week you can expect if you don't usually have these defined in your chart. So with this Gate 37, we do call it community. It's also called family or friendship in the original I Ching. And it's the manifestation, macro and microcosmically, of the organic nature of community. So literally, it's bringing people together. It's bringing unification. It's bringing, like-mindedness, like-minded people together. It's all the things you would expect in a community, right? Whether it's around the building you're in, or the gardening you do, or the town council that you're part of, or the political group you're part of, or any kind of community, whether it's spiritual or religious or economic, or parents getting together, or friends getting together, or some kind of chess club, or whatever it is, it's community, right? And so any of those people coming together creates community. And so the incarnation crosses this week are the crosses of planning, bargains, and migration. And in quantum human design, we call it this gate harmony. And the gate 40, which is its channel that creates the channel of community, it's the gate of aloneness. And so this has a much different tone to it. And the reason, and it's also called deliverance or aloneness in the original I Ching. It's the point of transition between struggle and liberation. So basically, it's the internal struggle we have with ourselves, where we feel alone, where we feel like, there's the struggle here where we don't feel like we're part of anything, where nobody gets us, where you walk into a party or a group or gathering of some sort, and you feel like you're alone because you think nobody understands you. But then by the end of it, you've come into community with them, and you basically are liberated. That's where that struggle and liberation comes from. And so in the Gene Keys, exhaustion is the shadow, resolve is the gift, and divine will is the CD. And in quantum human design, we call it restoration, because it's really about finding a way to restore your soul, your being part of the community, and to get you back into community. That's the whole reason for the aloneness. You might feel like you're alone, but you're really not. It's just a way to, enable us, to push us, to encourage us into that community. And so in the Gene Key 37, the shadow is weakness, and I'll explain that in a second. The gift is equality, and the CD is tenderness. So the whole thing around this community idea, this unity idea, brings us to equality at the middle level, right? Eventually tenderness, but the weakness starts at the beginning, or at the lower level, the shadow level. And here the repressive nature is being over sentimental on the fearful side. Basically people who are helping because they think they have to help, people who make agreements because they think they have to, and get into situations where they're really using their emotions to say that their heart feels like they need to do something. And this is, it's sounds like semantics, that the heart is not the emotions, but they're really not. The emotions can be quite different than what your heart is saying or what your gut is saying or any of the other decision-making tools we have. And then the reactive nature is cruelty, being cruel to people. And what Richard says is that it's interesting because so much is spoken of now about gender, whether it's male, female, binary, and the other variations in transgender people and things like that. So there's a lot of different types of gender now, when previously it was just male and female, that was it. And what Richard says is that the gender thing, he says one of the great signs of the 37th shadow, that weakness, is your identification with your gender, basically over identification with your gender, right? So if somebody is overly female or feminine in nature, someone who is overly male dominating in their nature. So it's the male in cultural means, it's the male domination versus the female subordination. Those kind of weaknesses in the shadow aspect that Richard talks about. And we can see how we're moving away from those. You don't have to be a strong male anymore to be in a position of power or to be elected to anything or to be a leader in the community. You don't need to. You don't need that strength. We're not fighting the big lions and tigers and bears anymore. That's not a thing. And so people don't need that brute strength that used to be part of the culture. And also neither do we need to be ultra feminine. I mean, there are lots of women who really side with being male. I feel like I've, in my roles and my being the oldest in my family and a lot of other things, really tend more toward not being so feminine, right? So my mother would have preferred if I went to ballet school, but that wasn't for me. So there are some people who are really who still identify with the genders, and they seem a little out of step now, a little not moving along with the cultural norms and the changes, really, the transitions that we're making. Now in the graphic, and this is all about 37. It's all about community. It's all about unity. It's all about getting there. He says the more you give, the more you receive, which I love and I live by. And it's just a way of creating unity, right? Creating, we're all in this together. Let's help each other and let's do what we can. He also says the family unit is the most powerful crucible of love through which humanity will be transformed. And the family unit is changing, yes, but there are different types of family units. There, in Europe and in different parts of our country, in the US as well, the family unit is changing, and some other people are coming together. And I happen to live in a building with 50 units and 50 families, and so we consider ourselves a family. We all are here to help each other whenever we need to. And so it feels like a much different family unit than I was used to in New Jersey, where I came from. But it works and it keeps us together, and it's a feeling of unity. And when, it's kind of like one for all and all for one. He also says in the future, family will no longer be an isolated tribal phenomenon, but a collective breath pattern that unites all human beings. And this is the future that is coming. So this equality is coming to us, coming as a result of our actions now, and is going to change over time, but it's going to bring us all together in a way that we probably couldn't have imagined. It will bring more abundance, more unity, more community, more probably smaller groups locally than we could have imagined. Even within larger cities, even in rural areas, we'll all be coming together to help each other. And once we can do that, our lives will be changed. So, of course, we have a number of birthdays this week. And what's interesting about these people is that they all would have had that 3740, right, channel, which means they all have the will center, but they also all have the emotional solar plexus defined. And so, just looking at these, you can see that people would have the willpower and the willfulness and the motivational techniques and they'd be very empowering people, right? So like a Tony Robbins and a Brendan Burchard, they get up on stage and they're very powerful and very motivational. Ralph Nader, Elizabeth Taylor, Josh Groban, a lot of people, Adele Davis, if you may not recall, but she was a nutrition. She was on the forefront of nutrition in the 60s and 70s, and my parents followed her, and I knew of her from an early age. So people here will have this empowerment built in and be able to talk to people and also have that emotional solar plexus defined. So they'll be, have that emotional wave, but it's a relatively gentle wave. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Use that willpower judiciously, use it well, get some things done that you might have wanted to get done. And just remember that there might be a little bit of emotional pull in there as well. So I hope you have a wonderful week and I will see you soon. Take care.